Today we're working on the Ascent demo some. It's been a couple of a week or so since I worked on that stuff, so I need to get back to it. All right, let me mute my phone because we don't need a bunch of that. It might be busy today. We'll see. All right, let's get to sharing my screen. I don't know if this is set up for that. Let's see. Make sure I share the right one. Share. There we go. All right. And let me bring my chat up so I can see that. Nope, don't need to see that. All right. Already have some questions. Wow. So let's see. What's the best way to get models and their meshes working with MonoGame? I mean, just to start, basically the MonoGame has a built-in FBX, importer, and I believe we also support that GLTF as well. If you put one of those models into the content pipeline and use the model processor, it will process and load it. The default model processor, I think, is not. I believe you can't really do animation with it, but you can load models. I would go look at one of the old XNA samples because it works the same way. And then you can use the model class to render it. Even though the model class doesn't do a lot of the heavy lift, you kind of have to write your own code for it. The Ascent demo is a good example of how to use that stuff, but enhance it and extend it. But yeah, unlike Sprite Batch, MonoGame doesn't have a very strong 3D model pipeline that's built into it. It has all the facilities you need to do that, but it's not built in. So that's something that we're hoping to improve on as we move forward here. But right now, it's very much like XNA was. Let's see what other questions. There's another question. The Blender design level, that's more a question for Dean that wrote that stuff originally. I would definitely ask some questions on the video chat, and I'm sure that one of us will jump back in there that actually knows it. I really haven't worked with that part of it, so basically that's not a good question for me, but I'll make sure that if you post something on there, or actually just post a question to the MonoGame discussions on GitHub, I'm sure somebody will jump in there and help with that. Let's see what else. All right, so let's get started here. Let's get to MonoGame stuff, all the MonoGame stuff. Let's update the demo. Okay. Do I have a rec in here? Yep, I have a bunch of things that I was working on. Not sure what the current status of things are. We'll have to go take a look. And I think I updated MonoGame a few. I think this has the stuff that I was working with Vulkan. Yeah, I'm in the Vulkan branch that I have. I'll stay in that branch just because it gives a good test for other things. I haven't switched over the Ascent demo to use Vulkan or I believe it is using the new native backend, if I remember correctly. I don't remember exactly. We'll find out. We'll find out as part of this process. So usually I work with the Windows solution because that's the one that has that's the one that I've set up that I've done all the testing on, even though we're striving to make sure it works across all of them. And we are struggling against a couple things. In particular, we're struggling with making it work with old OpenGL because our OpenGL is still it doesn't support all the shader features that we would want. And we're debating whether we can support it there. If we can't, should we just aim for Vulkan and DX11, DX12? So yeah, that's something we need to consider. Let's see. I guess everything looks like it's okay. This project is also, and I don't know if we push this. I don't think we have, but this is also using the new content builder in this project. I'm using it as kind of a test for stuff there. That was the content builder kicking open to give me a sample. Okay, so we do have something that works here. It looks like that model isn't rendering. Let's see where we're at. Oh yeah, we have this. Is this tiny level? I think this is tiny level. I'm flying towards it very slowly. I think it's actually really small, and that's why it's doing that. Because I was working on something with size before. Let's get into the editor so I can pass through this. Maybe it isn't a size issue. Maybe it's just spawned in the wrong place. It's kind of weird. Yeah, let's see. Let's exit this and go to the other demo level. Oh. I think there's a size issue happening there of some sort. All right. So this is here. Yeah, we were working on some of the new meshes and getting some new lighting in place last time I was working on this. Yeah, and I think there was some size stuff happening because you can see how like the lights are really small. I think I adjusted the size back down a little bit further, and that's what I was left doing last time. All right. Let's see. Another quick. What I love about Mono is it's really the easiest game library right off the bat, even if RayLab has more steps to get set up. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that attracted me originally to it. I remember sitting in a bar in San Jose. Gosh, must have been like 2002 or 2003 or something like that. You know, a really long time ago, talking with one of the leads on the DirectX team, and was telling him, was that, I guess it was about then. And I remember telling him, like, you know, it would be great if you could just add C# bindings to DirectX and make that available. It would make a really great game development environment because most games do not need a ton of CPU power. They need more. And at that time, C# wasn't known for a lot of CPU power. It was known for, you know, it was known for just being easy to use, not having memory allocations and stuff like that. And garbage collection was always controversial, whether was that what was good or bad for games. You know, but it was like any game thing. Like you optimize, you know, certain things to avoid memory allocations in games. You do the same thing in C#. So it was like, you know, having a C# binding for DirectX would be great. And, you know, not knowing a couple of years later, you know, XNA would come out, which was basically that, you know, not really a wrapper for DirectX, but very similar or very close to that. So yeah, I've always loved it from that perspective. Sometimes it can be difficult to work with in certain scenarios, but you know, with that abstraction, you get some power. You can write things quickly. Let me fix my freaking lights. I don't like that. I think what I was working on at the time. Let's see. I think what I was working on at the time was adjusting some of the light sizes or adjusting the sizes of things here. Let's go look at my changes. Yeah. What I was doing is I was adjusting the sizes of things again. You can see here how the size used to be 450 nuts, 45. I was bringing all the scales back down, you know, because things being at the wrong scale, you know, actually causes some problems. You know, it makes it more difficult to work with if things are very large scale. So we'd scale it down once, and I scaled it out yet one more time. So it's in the middle of that. So let's finish up that work. My soothing voice of Vulcan Dev. Okay, great. I'll take it. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I didn't put on the background music. It's funny. Every time Simon had to remind me to update the ticker on this thing. Every time I start, I update the ticker, and then I get in here, and then the ticker changes. I don't know what it is, but you know, for whatever reason, I made a ticker. I made it live, and then when I switched to this other demo screen, bet you each screen has its own ticker, and I had to turn it on to all of them, not just on one of them. All right, so back to this. Let's see. All right. So yeah, so this is in the middle of scaling things down, which is actually fine, but I have a couple things that I have to fix. In particular, some things that are hard-coded in here. Issues window. Now close that. Don't know who you are. I don't care. In particular, there is the where is it? Projectile. Final references to that will get me to what I'm looking for. In projectile, we have a light. There we go. Final references to that light. Yeah, so those are too big, I think. Oh. Actually, it doesn't seem to, visually it didn't seem that big, but, actually it might be. It just, it possibly is. It's just, and that's another thing I like, is being able to, having a good editing continue in this thing, I think helps. Still some sort of problem. Let's get to the bottom of this. I hate not having this work properly. Let's see if I can figure out what that is. It could be that I had a different scale somewhere else to hack things, and that's what was causing it. Blink, bounce, default, light create. Creates the light of 100. Interesting. Light of 100 does not work. Why is that? I think I remember now. I was working with changing how the light fall off works, and that's why that is occurring. Sometimes, you get back to something, it's like, what was I doing again? So you see it's there, but the radius and the intensity are not working as you would expect. Yeah, I was working on trying to get a more realistic light fall off, and in that process, that changed how our lights are rendered, and that's what's going on here. You'd think I'd leave myself some notes to remember what I was working on. Which that's a nice light intensity and everything. If I shadow it, it'll look a little bit better. Yeah, what I was doing is I was changing the light intensity from being just like a general number to something more realistic, like what is it called? Lux, or what is it called? Lumens? No, not lumens. Candela. I forgot which one I was working with, but basically a more modern standard for how you define a light intensity, so that you can get some really bright highlights like this. You really have to be able to oversaturate your lights to get that kind of effect. And yeah, you can use some random thing, but if you have something that's more physically based, then you kind of have tables for that stuff. So like, let's see. Like if you go look up, I'm going to do a quick look up here of this. I'm trying to find this cheat sheet that I've seen in the past that people use for, things like Unreal and stuff like that. I think I'd still have one of these things around. Yeah, I can't find the one that I was looking for. But basically, there are several cheat sheets out there that will tell you, like, well, a candle has this light intensity, a flashlight has this light intensity, the sun has this light intensity. So you can use realistic lighting values for things, which really does help a scene whenever you do that. So I was in the process of changing this to a more realistic system. I should have probably renamed the variable while I was doing it so that it made it easier to understand what was happening. But that's why we're seeing this effect, is because it's not just the size. I mean, the size is affected, but the fall off is like that. You see, like, there's a lot of lighting that dropped out there, from this. So it's even affecting it very subtly, but the fall off is very different than what you expect. It's more realistic fall off, which even if I make it bigger, it doesn't change that as much. It just affects more, but it's not changing it the way you expect it to. So what I need to do, if I want to hack this for right now, is I need to come in here back to my light. Yep. And I need to put a more interesting intensity on it to get something that works. So I'm going to go for this is something pretty bright. Let's go for 100 on both, and we'll see how that works. There we go. A better result. I think my projectiles are still small. That's why we're not seeing them. Did I lose my mouse? Whoa, what happened here? Weird. You get something. And I've kind of broken this level because I rescaled everything. I kind of simplified it down just to what I needed to work on lights. All right, let's get my projectiles rendering again properly. Let's see. That creates the light. That is it, the scene. I think here is where does the scale for the projectile come from? Actually, I think that's on my pipeline. I think so. Destination, intersect. Let's see what happens when I create one. Model, graphics device, root meshes. Okay, I believe it's just an issue in the model itself. So let's go take a look at that. So with this being in the new pipeline, I just open the content project here. I go to my builder CS, which is definition of all the stuff here, power-ups, props FBX. I think what I was getting here was I was trying to okay, well, I'm going to change the scale of these things, but it's like we really need to go back and start fixing some of these models to have a proper scale to begin with instead of just hacking it in here. I mean, this works, but it's not ideal. Let's see. So what folder is that stuff in? It's in projectiles. So I need to ensure the projectiles folder gets a appropriate scale. So I think it was scaled differently than the other before. So we probably want to do it the same thing as this, where we're adding a special scale to it. And we're just going to do it with all the projectile, folder. All right. If I do that and run, I should see it rebuild our content. I need to turn that off. And we should have a better scaled projectile now. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Okay, that one looked more correct. All right, let's scale it up further. Let's go to 4 times that size, just to make sure. Oh, crap. Let's just turn this off for now. I had that on so that I could debug the pipeline. I mean, that one's this bigger. Oh, I think I know what it is. It's that those are not the same kind of projectile, I believe. Yeah, there's something different about that projectile. Let's go take a look real quick. I think it's because it is not an FBX, it is an X. That's why. And we'll do the same thing there. Let's go turn off the debug. Yeah, I have debugger launch on there, which lets you step through and debug the pipeline very nicely. Yeah, the sun is not pure white. People get that stuff wrong. All right, now it's gigantic, but it's there at least. And I've lost, I think I have turned the emissive off. That's why they're not bright and shiny, but at least they're there. All right, let's go fix our scale again a little bit here, because it doesn't need to be that big. And we'll have to do a pass kind of really fixing our content. Even though the pipeline is doing its work, you know, scaling it on its own. Okay, so that's better. If I get my emissive back on, then things will be better. All right. And some of this stuff is also like some of the damage effects and things like that have radiuses in them. And because I've rescaled the scene, you know, that's all broken as well. So I need to go work on that too. And I have some new content from one of the artists, so I'm going to start pulling that in so we can get a better looking scene. So let's start with, what's the best thing to do here? Let's go look at my emissive just to get the scene looking a little bit better. That's interesting. There it is. Of course, it's going to keep freaking showing up. Let's see, where's my, wrong one. There we go. I was going to go look and see what I was doing in the shader. It's still called normal mapping FX, which I hate, but you know, I'll change that at some point. Work in process on the lights. Let's look at our diff here. I pulled some Fresnel stuff that I had from a different project. Right, RMA is the new technique because I'm trying to use the reflectance. What is it? Reflectance, metallic, and ambient maps that we have for this stuff. Let's see, is emissive off in here? Possibly is. Is it that it didn't have it? No, I guess it's just for glow. But why is glow not working in this? Did I circumvent it? Interesting, because looking at it, yes, roughness, metallic, ambient occlusion. That's basically the model that we're going with, which is very common in most games nowadays. Like there is some emissiveness happening here, but it's not what I would expect. Something must be off, and when I'm the intensity there. Well, let's try something simple. Let's just hack it up and see what happens. I mean, generally, just hacking it is not a good approach if you're trying to keep things realistic. But for the sake of this demo, it probably seems okay for now. Let's just really crank it up here and see what kind of result we get. I don't know if it's part of the glow map or what, but I'm pretty sure that the projectile, it could also just be that the projectile never had any emissiveness in it. It's just that it's a TGA. Oh, you know what it is? It's that it's taking the other path, and the other path doesn't have any sort of emissive or anything, so it's just rendering it normally, and it's probably not. Oh, that's true. Good call, Simon. Simon mentioned that I'm using the wrong importer here, and he is correct. I'm surprised that that worked at all. Did it just switch to using the other one? Huh. Interesting. Because it did scale it, so I wonder what it did. That's curious. I'll run this after this gets done here. Whenever I change that main shader, things take a lot longer to build. And this is part of our, dog fooding in a new builder, is that the new builder does not, we're still fighting to try to get it to do the right things when it comes to content that's referenced from other content. So right now it is rebuilding that shader over and over and over and over and over again for each model, which is not very good. And that's part of the problem, is that it really needs to see that these two models that use the same shader, it's the same shader. It doesn't need to rebuild the thing. And currently it's not seeing it that way. Okay, so that looks like that didn't add a lot to it. I guess that there's a limit of what you can expect without any kind of like real heavy glow effects, which is we don't really have at the moment. Also, I guess maybe also with the more realistic lighting model, that glow can't just be some general scale it up by some number thing. Yeah, it probably needs to be handled more like the lights are, which it currently is. And also notice, that's another thing that's happening. Since I rescaled the model, it spawns the two projectiles for the player too far apart. That also is what adding to the feeling of it being wrong. Let's go fix that real quick. I didn't have to shut down to do that, but we'll start over and do it again. And that should have fixed whatever was going on with that model too. Okay. Call stack. Add projectile. Yeah, here's the code. It basically, for the blaster, it creates one projectile and puts it at, let's see, where's its positioning of it? Explosion size does need to come down. That was part of the, that's the radius of the explosion, if I remember correctly. That's the damage radius. That's the damage amount, that's the radius. So we went down by 10 in scale. I need to scale that. That is the transform for the projectile. Time to transform. That should be right. I swear I've adjusted this once before. Is it where transform here is defined? No, that should be correct. It does seem like they're spawning further out than they normally should. I don't believe these are defined in code. I believe that's literally getting the transform from the oh, maybe not. Of course, it puts the name at the bottom. Okay, so yeah, okay, so the ship has, I forgot how these ships get set up. I totally forgot that we had sub-entities on these ships. Let's see where this gets created. I don't think we had a scene or something for this. Man, I haven't looked at this part of the code in a while. Oh, you know what? I think I remember now how this works. I believe that it's in here. Yeah, it's this thing. It's XML. So yeah, and it's, let's see, because of this, I suspect, I think it's going to be this. Well, I just need to go down in both scales, so I'm going to do this. I think that will do it. It won't hurt to fix this as well, even though I'm not sure what that's used for, but I'll take it. And I think that's really a 1 and not the one from the matrix itself. I'm going to do the same thing here. Yeah. I think that will fix this. I'll need to go fix the other ones, but yeah, let's fix this other one too. I suspect that these two are very similar. No, they're different, but same sort of problem. They're different. So let's just do this. That's a smarter way to fix it. Just add my, oop, did that wrong. That wasn't smart. That is, all right. I went all through this one time before when we rescaled everything. So having to do it again kind of sucks, but you know, is what it is. Let's see. The enemy, I think, probably has its own thing, but let me see. Maybe I'm lucky. No, it's totally different. Well, no, it's the same. That's right, because the enemy was copied from this one. So see, I get lucky. Even though we have a new enemy model and a new player model, which as soon as I get a little bit more cleanup here, I'll do in this stream. We'll jump in here and look at that. Sorry, I'm not paying super close attention to stream. I should probably, huh? It would definitely help when I do something dumb and everybody's telling me what the problem is and I'm not paying attention. All right, much better. Look, we're getting results we expect now. Yay. Yeah, much better. I mean, we still need to deal with the light sizes and intensities, but this is much better. All right, cool. Progress. Still other scale issues, but this is better. So let's bring in some of the updated models that we've gotten from the other team. So, and I'll have to speak to them later about, you know, getting, I'll have to speak to them later about getting fixing this model so that they're scaled appropriately, because I just don't want the default size to be this. Now that I feel like we're in the right place as far as the model, the scale is supposed to be. I think that scale is correct now. I want to get all the models be within that scale in the original art. So here's our latest texture stuff that Joe dropped for us in box. Let's see, some of these were updated August. That's not the right ones, is it? No. I need to go look, because that looks older than what I expect. Here are the new player models, but what I was looking for was the environment. I'll have to ask him, because it seems like the last one he updated was from August, and that doesn't seem right. I will ask, and while we wait for an answer there, we'll still pull up the latest, because I think some of these are older than that. Maybe. Hard to say. Let me ask the question. Oh. Okay, I guess I was looking in the wrong place. That's why. So yeah, there's some new ones that are updated in October here. So I will download these, which might take a hot minute because it's a lot. Maybe. Here's my download link. There we go. My download will begin shortly. It has begun. That's another thing as we bring this in, the content's getting bigger and bigger. So we're going to have to be able to handle that appropriately. And the pipeline's always been pretty good with that stuff, but especially right now with the new builder that is not, it doesn't do the smartest things always when it comes to, references of other references. It takes longer to build for that reason. That's part of the thing we need to fix. Harry told me that was a known issue. I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but, yeah, dependent content, most likely. So we'll get to that, but it's still a problem right now, which is why this demo is probably not good for it to go live until we get that fixed. That said, we do want to get the platformer demo out here before the next meeting, which means that we need to at least get things fixed for it. So one hell or high water, that's going to get fixed for those, because we really do need to have that stuff working. All right, so I'm going to pull these guys across. I'm going to replace the ones that changed. I'm going to copy all these textures across. These are all pretty big, which is another thing that I should probably kill these first so that I don't end up with, since this is a whole new set. Move these over there. So yeah, that should be all of that. All right. And then let's see what happens when we go build the content. It'll take a little bit, but not a crazy amount of time, but it takes a little time. All right, so here is, let me show a couple things here. Here is one of the pre-visualizations of the Let's see. Here's one of the images that we have of like the enemy ship, and the player ship, which is more of a robot, not a ship. We decided it's the opposite of Ascent or Descent. Descent, you were a ship fighting robots, and this you're a robot fighting ships. So we flipped this thing around, and this is still like a work in progress, but it's a step towards it. But I'm going to pull these in here in a moment and just see scale wise and stuff, how they fit and things like that. Polymers. Let's see, where is that? It's in a different folder. I'll start downloading that and preparing that while we're waiting on this. Here's some new props. Let's download that. I'll download the ship stuff here that we have. So, well, pulling content. I won't move this stuff after building because I don't want to confuse it by throwing content in the folder while it's building. I guess while that's going on, I can think about what else is going on with. We scaled the projectiles. Ship, I think there's still something. I mean, the scene that's used to display the ship on startup, the player ship on startup, that is scaled wrong, but that's like a problem that needs to be fixed. The lights are better and stuff. I wish this thing wasn't building so many duplicates of things. Because it definitely wastes a ton of time right now. It makes it look particularly bad. It kind of, a simple system is fine up until you actually meet a real case. Then you find how bad it can be. But it's fixable. Questions of the stream. If I had lost my stream, there we go. Windows building the image ThumbDB live. Yeah, I'm surprised Windows is so bad at that. I mean, that said, these textures are gigantic. Something that my machine is slow is that probably too big. A lot of these, it probably is too much for what we really need for this in some cases. But that's something, if not, the artist would export it. But we're not kind of pulling that stuff down in size just yet. Here, there are a few robot models in the XNA robot game sample. Yeah, I mean, we were trying to avoid recycling old content. One thing that we've talked about internally is that MonoGame always feels old because we keep showing this from 20 years ago. And we've kind of internally, I kind of told everybody, like, we got to stop doing that. It's not doing us any favors to say. That's why we've been going on a push of making new demos and getting some, content out there that is exciting and is different and looks new and fresh. We're trying to change that all old stuff, and it doesn't have to be. It's whatever we can make of it. So for us, we're just trying to make it more exciting, keep pushing boundaries of this. Let's see. Still building. Unfortunately, I'm on stream, so I can't just go and get a coffee or something. Let's see. While this is going, we can do some other little things, I think. Well, one, let's see. I don't know. Somebody asked about spam in chat. I have no clue about any of that. I can't. Not bother me. Let's see. So what I want to do is I was going to look through these list of things and see if there's something while we're waiting for build here that could use some fixes. I guess the enemies should be fine now. We're fine last time I ran it. So no, it should be fine. We're just waiting on content building. I didn't think this would be, so I guess it's become one. So content building has kind of stopped us in our tracks. I guess we do that. We can take a little side trip here. Someone had mentioned an issue that they were having with Vulkan, and I'll wait for that to build. We'll just switch gears for a moment. There was, where is that issue? I just replied on it this morning. Do a little bit of work on that while we wait. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And that's one issue, but that was the one I was looking at. Man, I was just looking at this earlier. Hate it when I can't find stuff. Hate it. It's going to be an open issue because I reopened it. It's really annoying. Let me go check my email real quick because I know I still. There it is. It is an issue. Why did this not come up? I guess I typed in Vulkan, not desktop VK. Okay, that's probably why it didn't come up. That makes more sense. Funny how anywhere in this, I should probably label it what they can go. Graphics at least. Now we need a tag for Vulkan. Let's do that while we're thinking about it. I guess we have a tag. Annoying, but whatever. All right, so he has a minimal example. I'm going to grab a zip of that. I like just grabbing the zips and not just downloading a repo. It's annoying to do that. To here. I open this. Hopefully not loaded up with viruses. Nope. Looks fine. So it's referencing. Is it automatically hooked up to the one that I had here? Awesome. Perfect. Makes it easy. Should not be out. So to start a project build. Man, when things work, it works great. It says there is a Vulkan tag. I didn't see it. I'll have to go look again, see what I did not like. Another one of these. Okay, it's the content builder. Imagine that. The thing that always foils everything. The content builder. The old one. And it's really not the content builder's fault. It's more of this stupid targets file fault. It never works for me. Try a couple things. I will try restore NuGet packages on here, because sometimes that helps it. I will close it, reopen it, and let's see if that helps. Of course not. That would be too easy if it worked. I'm going to do the thing that which is killing that targets file and calling things directly myself to avoid. I did that on another project. Oh, I did that on the Vulkan test sample that I was using. I did the same thing. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did on that one, because it'll get me past this stupid issue that we've created ourselves by using this stupid tar pending on NuGets and all kinds of garbage that never works. Let's see. That's fine. It's good. Come on, open the file. You can do it. It's just a text file. Come on. Must be processing a particularly heavy texture. Looks like it is. Okay. Oh, finally. Right. So what did I do in here? I hacked it somehow. How did I do it? That's right. It's not in there. It's in here because this project is set up in a crazy way. It doesn't come there. Where does it come from? It's definitely, I don't think it's there. It's just the old content project. How did I do that? I did. It's right here. Oh, that's right. I did this, and then wait. How did that work? No. Did I do that? I'll try that in this project as well, just in case. Stay down here. That might actually fix it. No, that'd be too easy. A different file extension. This thing's all stupid. I really hate this garbage. To this for sure. Store tools, fuck your tools. That's always garbage. All hard garbage. Yeah, I'm not sure if we can remove that completely, but What annoys me is I totally did this in this other project, and now I've forgotten how I did it. I guess I'll just do this and find it. I mean, I do need it to build the content, though, so I can't just disable it. So, yeah, that's what I was looking at. Kind of baffled. How is it that it builds content in this stupid thing? Is it just magic? Oh, they're just using magic. I see. This is even worse. It's even worse. Nothing builds the content in this project, I guess. Am I just not seeing it? I'm really annoyed by this. One of these stupid things where somebody decided to shove it in like file or something stupid like that. I mean, do I need to get down to dumb things like just, okay, let's go on that content build. At least it's still building. We got that much going for us. Okay, I must be losing my mind, or it's just magic. It's just magic. It magically builds the content. There's no references to it. There's no reference to a target file. There's no nothing. It just completely automatically through magic. Oh, I found a magical file. Let me build the content for this thing. I just don't get it. It's like they're purposely making things more difficult. It's like, we'll make sure that there's no reference of anything in the project how it does this, so that you just don't have to think about it because it doesn't exist. It's not there. It's in some magical place. This command that says all this junk for just doing one thing, calling an exe and passing it some command line arguments. It's so stupid. Let's see. I did this on a different project too. Where was it? I do it in this. I might have done it in this. This though uses old stuff, but in my solution that I had for some PS5 stuff. Yeah, I did in this. Look at that. No guesses, no magic. It's just like, it just says, hey, build content. Make sure we build this project and then call this command line. What's so difficult about that? Files and magical props files and NuGets and all kinds of fucking trash that frankly doesn't do anything but make things difficult. So we can yonk you out of there. I hope I can hear. I'm gonna slap this target in here. And we don't need that part of it. And we can use our NPC command. And the content is, I think that's correct, but let me double check. Yes, it should work. Platform is already defined. Output directory. I need to put it in a reasonable output directory. I think it'll probably want it into. I think I just need to do. What do you call it? If I remember correctly, I think I can just. I think finally it will add the content folder. I think. Hey, look, it built content. Imagine that, a single line to replace all the fucking junk that we built over 5-6 years of NuGets and target files and all kinds of other garbage. One line built, done. Frustrates me is, and this happens with the MonoGame team a lot, we try to follow the trends that are out there. And like one trend for a while was NuGets and target processes. And that could have all worked, but you know, Microsoft screwed it up, made a mess out of it, made it different, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And now you load up a project and build, and it's like gives you some nonsensical that no one can work out, and then you have to figure it out. And it's like it would have been simpler if we just called the fucking exam and been done with it. Even if we used a NuGet to download the package, we didn't need to use some weird voodoo magic to actually run the thing. All we had to do was call a fucking exec right in the code. Like this is simpler than every target file, I guess. So it built. So now we have something built. Let's see if we actually have. And it annoys me the most because I'm going to rant a little bit more. It annoys me the most because I'm trying to see, and I want to try to get things done. And instead of working on actual problems, I end up working on how do I get this content thing to build. All right, so with that in place, it should run. All right, runs, and we get, I believe, the intent. It should not be rendering nothing. It should be rendering something. So let's see what we can figure out here. I'm going to start by just hacking this a little bit. Again, in the background, it's doing this. I guess I should update my caption, huh? Yeah, there we go. That works. All right, so I know it's a deferred renderer. Hey, look, this thing finally started. Guess now that we finally got somewhere with the other project, this thing decided to start up. We'll see what we get. All right, materials are broken. Yay. Hey, but the glow is really glowy. I guess that intensity that I cranked up did work once it rebuilt all the materials. But yeah, I think that might be breaking other things too. But hey, the thing got very reflectivey. So yeah, okay. So that stuff loaded. Let me just do one thing real quick. See if yeah, I think this might be the same problem I had originally, where some of the materials had the wrong order in the. And this is something I need to talk to the art team about. I think they might have put the wrong order in the maps that have the reflectance and AO and the and stuff. I think maybe that map is in the wrong order, and that's what's causing that. But let's go see if some of the other meshes will load. Let's make this bigger so it's easier. Oh no, I lost my window. What happened to it? Oh. Let's load model. This isn't the easiest thing to work with, but we'll see. Oh, there's the hallway. Let's turn on some sections in here. Yep, so it's working. Let's throw a light in there real quick. Yeah, I think until I get this material, I think most likely the mats for this are broken. Oh no, maybe it's not. And there's something definitely broken in the materials. At least with some of them, like the metallic isn't broken, but the rock texture out there is. Something bad with that texture. That's why that doesn't work. But if I come in and turn on the some of the rest of the metal parts in here, it'll have something that actually looks okay. No, this hallway doesn't have as many metal parts. But still. The parts that are working, it looks okay. Yeah, the rock is all broken, bad material of some sort. I'm gonna have to peek into that to see what's happening. All right. You just get this couple things right here, then this thing will start looking pretty fantastic. I was hoping to sit down and talk about other things today, like starting to work out some solution for ambient lighting that isn't garbage. But no, just dealing with core problems still. Let's do this. So we've been on an hour at this point. I'm going to have another hour here. Let's do two things. I will get back to this repo and do a little work here because I'd like to solve that today. I'm going to bottle my time and give that about 45 minutes. I'm going to spend another 15 minutes on the Ascent stuff because I want to try to bring in this other, this content that I had for these character models or ship models, and have something that we can actually, because the art team kind of needs to know whether the sizing is right and whether things look correct for what we need here. So let's see. I'm going to bring in these two and this. I'm probably going to rename these because they got some pretty lame names, but we'll see. Okay, brain needs to get back to working. Come on, brain. Assets. Let's go into ships. We'll dump it in here. Yeah, YOLO. Let's just let it override it. Who cares? It's gonna be totally wrong, but that's all right. So the other one was PlayerBot. I'm gonna change this to I'm gonna leave the other ship in there for right now. No, let's not do that. Let's actually move forward. I'm gonna rename this ship 1 after I destroy this stuff. And ship 2 I'll leave for now. Ship 1 is going to become this thing. Just because I can drop it in there and change it, and it just works. I don't have to do anything else. Now it's going to build content based on these. And why do we have this? I guess it's, oh, it has all this other materials in it, but I think it just uses this guy, I think. We'll see what happens. First problem is probably going to be gigantic, is my guess. Seems like it's touching some materials it probably shouldn't be touching, or it shouldn't be using, like those atlases, I think, for like the level content in progress. So it's not a final model or anything. It's not going to take anywhere near as long to build this. It should be a lot quicker. Just waiting on this. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to put this, add a note for myself in the main folder here locally. I'm going to call it unfuck content text. I'm going to keep that. So that's fucking useful. It's like, oh yeah, I did that once before. Where is it at? I don't remember how I did it. So I always have to let it back down. I'll just keep it there so I can. The change here. It's taking this long. See why? It's like it references a lot of references it, repeatedly, and that causes it to be slow. And the textures are gigantic. Doesn't help. Might have to hack this to let me. All right, there we go. Is it going to show up in here? You would think it would. There is a thing. I don't know what the thing is, but it's a thing. I guess that's the right one. Let's see. Let's see what we get here. The problem is I don't think there's a way for me to get third person to this thing. All the lighting's broken. So I'm going to have to do something a little different, maybe. The enemy spawn should work, I think. Oh, no, because I didn't specify what enemy. That's funny. Should have spawned. Why did it spawn? I'm going to save. Exit and then come back in. I'll have to start the game again because it's not going to update the save level doesn't stay persistent until you rebuild. It's another little bug to work on. Nope, there it is. There it is. Let's see if I can. What the heck is that? So my ship didn't change, but that one did. Let's see if I can see it here. Oh yeah, I forgot I had the third person. I want to get out of that. It's backspace. Where did he go? The broken lighting in this level doesn't help it. That's the spawn. Oh, I think I turn it off whenever I put in some code to kill all the ships whenever I go into here. So yeah, it's not loading the model fully. It looks like something is breaking. Okay, let's do this. Let's go back in here, and if I select the other ship here, that should be at least my ship, and I should be able to see it. Yeah, it didn't quite do the right thing. That doesn't look right at all. It looks like just a part of it, not the whole thing. Oh no, it's the collision bounds is around it. That's what's happening. The collision bounds is wrong, so it's rendering just the collision box with the ship inside of it. All right, that'll do it for sure. It's fun though to be some weird thing. The scale didn't look totally off. If I can just fix that collision to be off. I think, why is it showing up like that? I think it's because the ships don't have think I need to go set the pipeline to do something special on the ship. Builder. Another specialization for the ships. Where is it? Do this quickly, but I need to bottle this and jump back to that issue because I want to actually have some progress today. So yeah, just ships folder. And then I think what I have to do is, how do I tell it to not to skip the mesh? Might be the name of it. Might have to like specifically debug it in order to identify what's happening here and fix it. I'm going to assume that this is not a text-based FBX. It is not. If it was, it'd be easier because then I could go look at the text of the FBX, the ASCII version of the FBX, and find the right thing. But it did load. It's just that collision shape is not helping me, even though the collision shape is helpful because we probably do want to use a convex collision for it that is more than the box like it is at the moment. All right. I'll have to get back to that. We need to jump back to that Vulkan issue because if I don't jump to that Vulkan issue and solve it, then it's going to be stuck for another couple days. All right. So let's switch back to that Vulkan issue and see if we can discover what that problem is and maybe even add it into our existing PR that we have for Vulkan issues. All right. Back to the thing. Oh, now I remember I never turned the music on for the stream. Sorry. We'll have to live without it. All right. So back to the Vulkan issue. Let's go back to that. Nope, wrong one. Don't need you. Need you. All right. So clears come from our blue, then it goes to render, and this is the part that fails. Let's first start by just I mean, I know a little bit of what's happening from the issue that was reported. Where was it? You know that shader reference to bind in a bind 34 and descriptor set 1 does not exist. And looking at the shader here, which I think it's this one. Let me verify that, but yep, draw effect should be, yeah, draw. And it takes 3 textures, it looks like. Draw, textures, draw effect. Samples 3 textures. Texture 0, 1, 2. I mean, nothing stands out here, at least on the shader. I just like to look at this first just to get an idea of how everything is structured and see where maybe it could be coming from. So that all looks reasonable. As a test, yeah, let's do a couple things. First, as a test, let's just do this just to verify. I want to make sure that I'm working in the right space. So and it's going to probably fail. Come on, fail. Oh, that's interesting. Did I get that wrong? interesting. I expected to see a red screen here, and I do not. That is interesting. The current technique pass or do something different. Let me step into here and see what we get here. Current technique is draw. If I don't draw, I should just see cornflower blue, right? Even weirder. What's happening here? Oh, it didn't. Oh, the pipeline failed to build. I think that's what was happening. Is that what happened? No. Is this freaking... This is the... You see, I didn't change anything. Another maddening fucking thing. This thing just decided, hey, I'm going to totally screw you. I mean, or is this the other project? This is the other project. I'm going to unload this. I think that was the other project that was failing, making it look like something wasn't working, but I think it broke this thing. Wait, what the heck is happening? This is literally in this game, CS. Tell it to rebuild this game. No, tell it to rebuild the project, but whatever. Okay, that's what I was expecting yet. This is why with a lot of my projects I end up doing this thing just to avoid this problem. Like loading some content. No, did not do. Did not do right. You know what? I bet. No. It's weird. It's like I changed the code, but it didn't. Did I do that? I guess, no, did I do that wrong? I don't think I did that wrong. Okay, I just didn't rebuild the project. That's so freaking weird. I always end up doing this now with all my shader parameter setting, just because I wish there was a cleaner way of doing it, or a way we could handle this automatically under the hood. But I always do this so that I can easily hack at my shaders without having to worry about fixing this issue. See, it didn't. What is Visual Studio doing? It's like they're trying to make Visual Studio bad now. It's like I change my code. I make a change to my code, and it just doesn't rebuild it. I hit build, nothing built. Like I'm going to add changes to code. I'm going to put a syntax error in my code. Build, nothing built. What the fuck, Microsoft? What the fuck? I do not fucking get it. I mean, is it this? No. Wait, what the? I mean, that's the name of the... Where's this model rotation VK name coming from? No, that's not what I want. I don't know what that is. So here I am working on something that has nothing to do with the issue at hand because Visual Studio is doing something crazy. I don't understand. Like, I literally have a syntax error in this project. I right click on it, I hit build. It does not build the project. Delete that profile. Yeah, what do I do with that? Yeah, I'll try that as well. I'm going to try just closing the project and reopening it. I'm also going to, oh, fuck you, VS Code bullshit. Fuck you, whatever you are. That. I also don't trust these config things. Just don't trust them. They're there to screw me over. More dot whatever files, folders like that just always leads to trouble. I'm going to unload you again. Set you as the project again. Hit build. It should give me a syntax error. Hey, look, an error. The error that I put in there. I'm going to fix it. And then I'm going to hit build. It should build with it fixed. Correct. I'm going to change it again, and I'm going to right click and hit build. And it built. They just managed to break Visual Studio where it sometimes doesn't notice that you've changed anything. Hey, look, finally back to what I expected. I put this back and I should get a red screen. There we go. Back on track. Which none of this had anything to do with the actual problem or the issue at hand or me doing things wrong. It was just the tool being bad. Let's see. All right, so back to project. Get back to this guy. I'm going to put him back. So now I can get an accurate picture of what's happening. I do not trust that it did anything. I'm gonna hit rebuild. This is probably more my problem than anything else. I think I have the content building set up. It doesn't run every time. You have to actually, to do that, you have to do, what is that trick? The trick is, because there is another trick. Maybe I did it in this one. Come on, thing. Stable, fast, up-to-date check. That is the trick. It forces it to actually execute the targets instead of saying, it's up to date. my unfuck file. I'm going to put that in there too to remind me that I need that too. All right, so with that in place, if I come in here and make a change, hit build, it'll actually build the content. So I can be sure that my tools are working like you would expect them to work. All right, so we're back to where we started. Black screen. All right. So I'm going to do a couple things. Like one, I'm going to test something simple like this, just to see if I can figure out what which sampler is actually having trouble. I guess that one for sure is. I don't know if this will, could be that this is doing nothing useful, but I would expect it to do something useful. I would expect to see something there. At least this should be something. Interestingly enough, no. I do have Vulkan. These are enabled, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe not. Or maybe not. That bothers me. Actually, you know what? It might be this. Isn't there a setting that tells it to use native debugging? No. What is it? Let me just do it like this. Let's see, I'll step into the drawing code. That should get me to native code, and it doesn't. Why doesn't it get me to native code? That's from today. Anybody know the trick to tell this to let me step into native code? I could swear I've done this before. There used to be a setting that told it to do this. Let's see. is it? Is it in here? Yeah, it's in there. Fucking annoying. It's like, let me have a search that searches things, but you can't put it here. Let's make it a fucking separate window instead of putting it here with everything else. It totally needs its own little window and its own separate thing, you know, so that, you know, you can't find it when you search for it. I knew it was a setting. All right, so it looks like it is enabling the validation layers. Okay. And now with that, I'm actually getting errors. I guess it wasn't giving us the same thing. So I'm getting errors. So we start with validation errors and we'll go from there. Let me start again. And we'll set a breakpoint after startup somewhere, but before it draws. Would that be a good place? Sure. Let's set a couple breakpoints here. Okay, so no errors there. Let me clear all this out so that I don't have a bunch of junk to deal with. Like, these messages are completely useless. Why does Visual Studio even have them? It's the same text over and over and over again, and nobody cares. All right, so all right, do we have any problems yet? No. Okay, so we got one error there. Okay, that's something to look into later. Not super critical. Probably nothing to do with this actual problem, I would think. I'm going to clear it so I can clearly see my next errors. Okay, that's where all the errors are coming from, is from that final draw primitives, which makes sense. This is the one that's actually failing. All right. Use descriptor set 1 binding 32 variable albedo type. Descriptor sample image. Descriptor combined sample but was not declared in the pipeline layout. Okay, so that suggests that the pipeline layout, I guess it just built a bad pipeline somehow. If I catch this at the very beginning here, I should be able to catch it building that pipeline and seeing why. Because we should see it adding it, in this case, because I've disabled the other ones, it just has these two, the albedo, and, you know, texture and the sampler. Actually, you know what? It's complaining about sampled image, combines image sampler, combined image sampler. Huh. Interesting. And the secondary validation error is what? Here's third one. Statically uses descriptor set 1, but all sets 0. All sets 0 to 1 are not compatible with the pipeline bound. Okay. All right, we're going to do this again, but when we get here, we're going to step into this. Okay, so far, just that one error. So we're going to step deep into this and find where our problems are. So we might see some. I don't know if we're going to see anything on apply state, but apply state might actually be where it actually has the problem. Yeah, but we didn't see anything from there. But it's not until you actually call draw that's actually going to give you errors, I think. Yeah. So let's try again. I think I can leave my breakpoints in here. I like to kind of work my way to just where the problem is and not deal with anything else until I get there. We'll step into this first. I don't think it does anything. At this point, I think everything's been done already, but I want to make sure. Oh no, it looks like we might actually be doing it here. Okay, so render target's not. Oh, the pass is interesting. Is this? I guess the pass is separate, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I don't think this is. Yeah, this is only stuff that is related to the actual target changing, which it hasn't. So this is probably fine. Just double checking it just to be sure there's nothing that. No, everything looks fine there. That makes sense. So here's the actual thing. So yeah, applying the states does nothing, I think. It's just when this is the real magic here is this part of it. So takes the current frame. It's updating the current frame to these guys so that we know when it was used last. The shader is dirty. It's going to grab and update the shader. Gets a new shader program. Pipeline state dirty is true. So the create pipeline here, you step into that. Let's see. I don't think it's probably more related to this, but I'm going to step into this as well. It gets the last pipeline state, which is it doing this late? Okay, I'm gonna tell Discord to be quiet for a little while. It's too much distracting. All right, I should probably have done that before. Just muted it for 2 hours, huh? All right. Somebody asking a question: how is the performance of MonoGame with thousands of objects? I mean, it depends what those thousand objects are, right? I've seen plenty of samples of like thousands of sprites bouncing around the scene. There's a sample that or a little test case that I wrote a long time ago for when I first ported MonoGame over to PlayStation 4. And it was just basically like, how many sprites can I get on the screen using Sprite Batch? Just having them all, spawn randomly and randomly move around the screen and bounce off the edges and stuff like that. And you could easily do tens of thousands in that on the PlayStation 4 back then. So it's not really a big problem. It just depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to render thousands of, a 1 million polygon meshes, you're going to have trouble, right? So it just depends on what it is. In theory, it doesn't have any other slowdowns other than what the graphics hardware, limits you by. There are some limitations here and there with just the performance of C#, but generally for your scenes, it's not about that, unless you're doing a ton of CPU work per model to do some work. So it's really up to you. We're pretty low level to the metal, API. So, great. Let's get back to this. So I don't think that create. This feels backwards to me for some reason, but that can't be right. now. It's fine. So it takes the current pipeline state, which I believe that when we're all the work that it does to apply states pushes stuff into the pipeline state itself. If I remember correctly. Let's see, where's something? Yeah, so set blend state sets directly on the pipeline state. Depth stencil sets directly on the pipeline state. So everything's setting everything directly on the pipeline state. So we hash the pipeline state, to get a hash. And then from that hash, we say, oh, it's not in the pipelines, which there's only one other one in the pipelines at the moment, which is not that one. And I guess that might have been from the clear potentially. So it creates a new pipeline structure. This is where it's going to build everything. Blend constants. Viewport scissor. Sets those two shader stages. Vertex binding, vertex attributes. Blend state creation info. Our blend states. Okay, nothing here seems wrong to me. Oh, but there it is. Sorry, thinking. I need to do more thinking out loud. Somebody asked something about how can you handle such long class names. Let me tell you, I was working on one project that had ridiculously long class names, and it was inside of ridiculously long namespaces, and it was all C++ with templates, and it had tons of template arguments, and every symbol was like across the screen. It was impossible. And I don't know, I wasn't the author of that code. It was something I had to work with. And man, I just don't know how the author could have not seen how bad all that stuff was. But some people do write ridiculously long class names. These are very tame in comparison. Let's see. So we're going to look at program. Yeah, but everything, all that was internal to this. I mean, I guess no, it's all just internal to this. Pre-info stages. Crap, I'm running out of time. And I'm finally to the meat of this thing. Let's see, where is the right stage? What's going wrong here? I mean, why is this different from every other set? Why is it that we don't have the same problems in other cases? Why is it with this project? It's different here. There's something different, and I'm not sure what. Is it how we've defined these stages, the sampler and the texture? Is that where the problem comes from? And it might be. Yeah, it could be how it's building this thing in the shader itself, the shader compiler, and I'm like kind of looking in the wrong place to begin with. Yeah, it's been a long time since I looked at this. I think this is probably where it really is failing, is this. Which is more of a pain in the ass to debug, but with a new builder, it's much easier to debug. With the old stuff, it's harder. It's still doable. So yeah, this has got to be where the problem is coming in. It's not declaring the pipeline layout. This suggests that the data, it saw it when it compiled the shader, but this here, where we were building these sampler bindings, did not describe it at all or the same way, but it saw it in the shader, and that's what failed. That's what it looks like it failed. Let's do this. I can start a project, go to property, properties, debug that. I'm going to have it build the shader real quick, see if I can spot where the problem happens. I might go a little long in the stream, but I don't want to go too long because I'm kind of in the middle of this. I'd love to get this resolved here before we get out of this stream. Let's see, it's this one. So I want to get that. So I build it from that. I don't know what I call the profiles right now. No, I should have probably copied that instead of modifying it, but whatever. I like to set a breakpoint here at the top and verify the thing worked. Okay, it didn't like something. Huh? More fucking bullshit. Oh, it's because it's a release build. Duh. Okay. Make sure my args look okay. Yeah. Okay, like that. So take it. So it got here to generate the layout bindings, C buffers, blah, 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 samplers. It has one sampler, which makes sense. Binding 32, is that what I was complaining about in the other thing? Yeah, set one binding. Does not declare the pipeline layout. Okay, so it did write the binding, but it was not a, so that part looks correct. So maybe there's nothing wrong there, but it might be, but it was not declared in the pipeline layout. So yeah, we're missing something here. What are we missing? I don't get it. Let's see. Let's go back to this now. Now that we've done that side. Let's go back to here. Let's see when it actually loads the shader. There's the program layout. Is that? I think that's R. Well, no, that's the layout. Yeah. Okay, let's see where the layout is set up, and let's see where it loads the pixel shader. Or creates the pixel shader for this. Should create. Okay, which shader is it creating? Okay, something for sphere. Nothing for sphere. Nothing for sphere. Let's do this. I want to get there. Okay, now we can get back to this guy. So here it's creating this shader. Which one is it? This must be the pixel shader. Yeah, stage is pixel. Okay, makes sense. Where the sampler stayed in. Then it goes to build it from the bytecode. I guess this is all the. That looks all correct. Okay, so back into here. Bindings. Uniform slots 0, texture slots 1, which makes sense. We have this like really hacky, binary format in here. I mean, it should just work, but maybe there's something that's screwed up there somehow. That is the binding. Sorry, I'm being quiet for long periods of time here. Just thinking. Hard to think and talk out loud a lot of times, for me at least. So that is the binding, but what is it missing? Combine image sampler, that makes sense. Oh, wait. Hang on a second. I mean, no, that's supposed to be right. If it's combined image sampler, we don't need 2 bindings, do we? Is that what it's complaining about? It's looking for a second. I'm not sure. Let's see. So here's the layout. Binding count. 1 bindings. Just to pointer this data. The descriptor set cache. Runtime. Hmm. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see the error there, but it's obviously right here. Right. Oh, that's the first pipeline. Okay, this is the one that's going to fail. Wait, is it set 1? I know. Objects 2. Okay, I think it's because it's not treating it as a combined sampler, a combined image and sampler. It's treating it as two different things because for whatever reason, I'm not sure why that is exactly. But looking at the just looking at this, like we saw that it generated a single combined image sampler binding for this. Says, hey, these two match. We're going to create this simple binding. But, no, that's interesting. I mean, these equal, so it doesn't matter. But, yeah. Anyways. It did this. It didn't do this, which would have generated two different slots. So it generated one sampler. Which generates one binding. We saw it do that. Yet when it gets over to here, it looks like it's treating it as two, which I don't think it's supposed to do that. Sometimes I find sometimes things get to be a wall of text. I find comparing them beyond compare helps. So this is like a wall of text there. And this will kind of cut down on like, well, what's different about these two? So other than the name, it's the Avito is a sampled image. The other one is a sampler. Was not declared in the pipeline layout. We did declare it in the pipeline layout as a single. Okay, well, I was hoping that I'd have a solution here by this time. I'm running out of time here. So we're getting closer. At least now we've identified, yes, we had this error before, but stepping through the code, there's something subtle here that I'm missing. And it's just probably my lack of not having a ton of Vulkan experience, but feels like we're close here. Like there's just one little thing that we're missing here that would fix this problem. But this is definitely something that could happen to somebody else. I don't see any reason why this particular shader, there's nothing particularly special about it that is different, I don't believe, than any other shaders that we've tested with it. So why is this one different? That's probably the core of this, is why is this shader different from another shader? I should probably sit down and compare it to like the sprite batch shader, for this, and see like, well, what's the difference? This has, well, in this case, it has one, texture, because I've disabled the other one, so it skipped them. And Sprite Batch has one shader, but it works. This does, or one material and one texture, one sampler, but it works and this one doesn't. So there's some subtlety in how these are declared that causes it to generate something different. So my next step here would be to step through compiling Sprite Batch, the Sprite Batch shader, and step through compiling this shader and seeing the differences in what it's doing. Because there's something about the declaration of this, it's probably related to the declaration of this texture and sampler. It could be that when we declare it this way, that it generates something different. Also, we are doing, like, this gets converted, from HLSL into SPAR-V, language. And it could be that conversion is doing something that we don't expect, causing it to not generate the same shader, essentially, or the same behavior. I mean, it's definitely not the same shader. But yeah, it could be something like that that's causing it, potentially. So yeah, that's all very interesting and curious as to why this is happening only for this. But this is a pretty big issue, because we want these cases to work, obviously. And if we solve this, it might just improve our compatibility, with Vulkan shaders and with different projects tremendously to have this fixed. So yeah, unfortunately, I have to put a pin in this because I have another thing here shortly. But it sucks that we didn't get super deep into Ascent and we didn't get super deep into here. Unfortunately, the process of building content really threw a loop into things. I really didn't want to split this code time between two different things, but because we're just sitting there staring at content building, I had to do something. I should have known that was going to take a lot longer than I expected. I could have probably worked on some other stuff, but it is what it is. That said, we got to dig into this issue a little bit and see what was going on. And I'm hoping that just a little bit more time here and I can resolve this bug. And there's a second bug, I think, in this other, or maybe it's not a second bug, it might be related, but I'll test that other case once I get to this one. But yeah, I'd like to fix this so that, I think Tomas is going to look at the other Vulkan fix that I did and verify whether it fixed it for him on his machines. And if it does, then that's yay, a victory there. But, that was like that Vulkan issue where it basically would lose, flicker in rendering and issues whenever the window is resized and on some hardware. With that fix, we thought that was going to get us to where we can ship the new version of MonoGame, because now that's fixed. That said, this feels kind of big, and I think I want to make sure that this is fixed before we ship the next version of MonoGame as well. So I'm going to prioritize this and make this work. I'm also going to see if I can do another stream like this early next week, or maybe even probably early next week, in order to just spend more time doing this on stream, because I think it's helpful. And I think just having one of these streams a week is kind of a slow pace for this stuff. So I want to pick up the pace. And, while I can't really commit to streaming every day like some people do, I might be able to stream twice a week. So I'll see if I can figure out a time to do that as well, to get some more time on this. All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. Hopefully that was sort of educational, and, have a good one. Bye.